Hey everybody, Professor Berninger here. I want to talk about a couple more of the Robert Frost poems. Design. I found a dimpled spider, fat and white, on a white heel-all, holding up a moth like a white piece of rigid satin cloth, assorted characters of death and blight, mixed ready to begin the morning right, like the ingredients of a witch's broth. A snowdrop spider, a flower like a froth, and dead wings carried like a paper kite. Whoa. Alright, so he finds a dimpled spider, fat and white, on a flower, and it's holding up a moth. It's caught a moth, he's going to eat it. The moth is dead, the spider's going to eat the moth. And Frost is really elevating this, right? Assorted characters of death and blight. So in nature here, the moth, the spider, the white heel-all flower, he's seeing life and death, and he's dramatizing it, right? Which is good, which is cool. And then he asks, what had that flower to do with being white? White is innocence, right? The flower in some ways is a willing or unwilling accomplice, right? The flower lures the moth in, and that's why the spider has put the web there. The wayside blue and innocent heel-all. What brought that spider to that height to set the trap there for the moth? What brought this, what steered the white moth thither there in the night? What but design of darkness to appall, if design governed in a thing so small? So Frost looks at a spider web that a spider caught a moth, very successful. It's eating the moth, or moving it around at least. And his question is, why? What brought the spider there? What is the role of the flower here? What brought the moth there? And he says, his final thing is, if design govern in a thing so small. So this is a very good question. Very, very good question. Is there a design there? And of course, what Frost is asking us to do is to apply this question to our lives, right? Is there a design to our lives? Now is a really good time to ask that. Was it meant to be that I'm sitting in the woods with a camera instead of sitting in the room with all of you talking about the poem Design? Is there a reason for this? Does everything have a reason? Why has COVID... I remember when COVID-19 was first a thing, and there was some memes going around, and people were... I haven't seen these in a while. Maybe this is nature's message to us. Because in the first few weeks when we were really in total shutdown, you could hear birds. Nature was like starting to emerge. In our absence and our somewhat silence, nature was coming back in. And some people thought, well, maybe that's why we have COVID. I don't know. I do remember that, though. Does everything happen for a reason? Someone gets killed in a car accident. Did that happen for a reason, right? One day I was driving home from school long ago, and I came to a stop sign, and I like saw a truck off, and I saw like an ambulance. It was really, nothing noteworthy. And then I got home, and the next day I read the newspaper that someone had blown through the stop sign and hit somebody and killed them. Now, if I had left school a few minutes earlier, and the poor man in that truck who was killed had stayed wherever he was a few minutes earlier, it would have been me, right? Is that chance? Is that random? It's hard to say, right? When do people say, well, it just wasn't meant to be? Well, you get dumped by your boyfriend, you get dumped by your girlfriend, and someone says, well, it just wasn't meant to be. It's to comfort you, right? There's nothing you could have done. It wasn't in the cards. Now, maybe the guy has really bad hygiene and spends, all his time in the basement, not even very good at video games, doesn't have a job. That's why he got dumped. It's not because it wasn't meant to be, right? It's not because it wasn't meant to be. But we like to say that I guess it wasn't meant to be. I'm not a big meant to be person at all, right? Take charge of your life. You're in college. Forget this things are meant or not meant to be, right? Take charge of your life. You be the master of your own design, right? If there's a design, you be the designer. Anyway, another little side story. One night long ago, I was teaching this in a night class. In my class, you know, it started with 20 students. And after about 6 weeks, there were 8 people coming. Now, I don't know why. Maybe people got jobs or, you know, I don't know why people stopped coming. It was just one of those things. Other times I've had 20 at the beginning, 20 at the end. So I'm talking about this poem, and I said to the class, you know, what about that person who couldn't get into this class, right? What about the person, this class used to have 20 people. What about that 21st person who was told, you can't get into the class, you know, it's full, Berninger's class is full. Maybe that person was meant to fall in love with one of you, right? And have beautiful children. Maybe that person was going to be a serial killer. And we all had the exact same thought when I said that, like, one of us is a serial killer and killed the other 12 students. I'll never forget that. I even remember the faces from that room. And just, we laughed and laughed and laughed. And we held 8 till the end, so if someone was a serial killer in there, they stopped. But I don't think they were. But it was just kind of one of those great moments where that one person who couldn't get into the class, how would that person have changed the dynamic of the class? Have you ever met anyone really by chance who changed your life? Was it meant to be? I don't think so, but if you want to be a meant to be person, if that makes you happy, you go for it, right? You go for it. But don't let the meant to be business make you lazy. You know, if a student gets 2 D's and 2 F's at the end of a semester and says, yeah, I guess it wasn't meant to be, that person's probably going to get 2 D's and 2 F's in the spring. If that person gets 2 D's and 2 F's and says, yeah, I made some bad choices this semester. I didn't go to class and I didn't do many papers and I kind of flunked a couple tests. It's not a design, right? You screwed up. It's not like, yeah, it wasn't meant to be. College wasn't meant to be. No, you screwed it up. So you don't want to say it wasn't meant to be to let yourself or anyone off the hook. But Frost asking a question that we could spend forever philosophizing about and getting nowhere. Are things meant to be or are they not meant to be? Well, I'll leave that up for you to decide.